So 2022 was a really good year in many regards, but the key to running a successful business is always adapting and improving. So join me as I walk through of what I plan to do, what my goals are for 2023. Here, and we're going to head over to the retail office first, and we're going to start there.
I see you rolling up over black Cadillac, high heel boots. All
right, so as I mentioned, we're going to start here at the first of the two buildings. Also, I recorded the first part of this video as it was starting to get a little darker outside, so I apologize if there's some autofocusing issues going on. But anyways, thank you all for being here and for watching. So let's go ahead and start talking about things I want to do for 2023. If you've been following along for a little while, you know that recently I just acquired 2 new buildings, and this first one that we're in right now is kind of doubling as half of the building is like my office, a conference room, which is where I'm at now. It's going to have some product photography room where I can just, where I can set things up a little easier and just leave it. And then the other half of the building is going to be the showroom, the floor where people can come and shop some products physically, like on hand. You saw some pictures on previous videos. I will give an update as I get further along. But the reason there hasn't been an update on this location is because I've really not done anything here yet. I did not intend to start anything on this building until after the holidays because I was way too busy doing end of year things. So I put this off intentionally, but it's time to start working on it. Now I did a few things yesterday just to get the ball rolling, and that's what I'm going to show you is what I have left to do. And my first goal, my first resolution is to finally make some progress on this space. All right, so my first goal is this area outside here. This will be the showroom shopping area. Now it looks very crazy right now because we have taken out a few walls. You can see we pulled up all the carpet, and the next step is to put in some luxury vinyl plank. So we're going to have some really nice floors in here, and I'm hoping all of this is done in the next couple weeks. The only reason it's going to take that long is before I do the floors, I'm going to go paint and do everything. So once that's all done, then we'll come and do the floor. And then after that, the goal is to start putting in the shelving and start making sure I have products to stock. And then I got to get the checkout area done, which is going to be over here. A lot of work left to do. And that's why it's first on the list today. This has been a process that I haven't really got to start yet, but I just have to get going on it. And it's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be a lot of work. So if you haven't seen, like I said, I'm not going to do an in-depth video, but back behind this wall will be kind of themed out too. Back behind the wall is a couple rooms. That is going to be for overstock for the floor, as well as some supplies and things like that. As you saw in this hallway, we got the conference room here. I've done a few videos in here, but also it's just going to be for consultations, meetings, really whatever. If we come back here, straight back is my office, which again, is literally nothing done in it. Long story short, I have a lot of work that has to get done. And I said I wasn't going to do a walkthrough, but I guess I am. A couple bathrooms. There's a kitchen break room on this side. This is going to be a spare office, but also the product photography room, most likely. I wanted to start here because there's a lot of work to do. I don't have a choice. I got to get going on it. It's going to be nice when it's all done, but it's going to be a little bit. The other thing that I can really mention why we're here is one of the other goals and resolutions I have for next year, besides expanding the physical retail, is that I am also going to use some of this space for courses and classes. A lot of that's going to be done at the warehouse where I make the products, but also any talking head videos, educational business type videos I can do here. I can do in other areas of the building too. So the courses and classes are really going to be fully thought out and fully baked. Like I plan on them being extremely valuable and helpful to everyone. And so in doing that, I'm going to try to make it also as interesting as possible. So there's going to be a few different locations that I'm going to use. I'm going to leverage all the resources I have to try to make the best courses and classes I can for everyone. I do not have an ETA, and I wish I could say more about it, but as of right now, I'm still really overwhelmed with a lot to do. So I don't know when that's going to happen, but making some courses and classes is definitely on the list. All right, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that the retail office location that we were at previously isn't the only one that needs a lot of work. I've done a video giving a quick walkthrough of this space as well. Yeah, I know there's a random couch there. So let me expand a little bit on what else needs done as far as my early 2023 goals, and that is getting the warehouse finished set up. Now, it is worse right now than it was very recently. I've already started shuffling and trying to move stuff around, which is why it's a mess. Long story short, since getting both of these buildings late in the year, I couldn't do a whole lot other than finish up the work that needed done. My production, my website, making stock, wholesale accounts, private label accounts. All of that had to take priority, and so I just did what I could and made things functional for me, but now it's time to really get them done and set up. The sooner I can get to this and really get it set up, the better. So the 2 garages are for intake and outgoing. So when I get deliveries, they come in, and then if obviously when I'm sending stuff back out, they go out. And so I want to get a better process done for this because it's been just me doing it. So I know what to do, but as I have help in here, I need to make it a simpler process for everyone else involved. As you can see behind me, is a massive amount of boxes that I'm trying to sort and go through. I use way too many different box sizes, and that's something we're gonna talk about here in a sec as well. And I've got storage and I've got shelving. I've got things that hold all these boxes, but they're still in boxes. All these boxes behind me are just full of equipment and materials and shelving and things that I haven't done. And there's a bunch more that way as well. So I need to get things sorted and set up. Over here behind me, where that couch is sitting, and that wall, this whole area right here is going to actually be like a kitchen. So there's going to be a kitchen set up there with a hardwood table. It's going to be where I can do some demonstrations and tutorials on making small batch products. Just kind of a little break room area to the side as well. So that is something I want to get to as well. And when I was talking about courses and classes earlier, that's why I need to get that done. It'll just make the courses and classes even better if I've got something a little bit better than just a table in the middle of a concrete floor. That makes sense. So if you haven't been following me very long, you might not know that I just got into these 2 places. So I am still in the process of moving. In fact, I have a ton of stuff that's still not here. So I'm just doing the best I can to kind of get caught up. And then once I do, things should start running a lot smoother. I got a lot more shelves to put up. I've got a lot more pouring tables to put up. I have a ton to do. But it has been functional enough up until this weekend when I started messing with it that I could be using it. So hopefully, however, over the next couple months, I really think I'm gonna make a lot of progress in both locations. Okay, so next on the list for goals of 2023 is you'll see behind me some of the products that I haven't moved yet or sorted. And well, I'm having a hard time showing you them. But anyways, I've got products stored on all these shelves back through here. And what I would like to do is build upon those collections. So you guys know I have these winter collections. I've got these hideaway collections, which are pretty cool. You can see them, you know, in these winter collections. And then of course I've got kind of my standard original collection. Let's see here, camera will pick it up. I don't know, there we go. So I've got, you know, a lot of those as well. So one thing I want to do is kind of shore up my collections. I'm not sure which ones are going to remain and which ones I want to expand upon. I'm still trying to sort all that out. And so 2023 for me is really going to be a year of fine-tuning and focusing my products and collections, because up until this point, I just do a lot of things and that gets kind of difficult to manage, but it also makes it hard to have like really good direction and like focus on branding and everything. You know, here's some more examples of, you know, these are my double wicked ones. And I really love these ones. These are probably my favorite of the bunch. And they burn so well and smell so good. But anyways, I got a lot of those as well, but not as many as I would like. So that is a newer collection for me. So I'm working on fragrance development still on those. But as you can see, I've got just a mess of things I've been moving around and shuffling. And I've got a lot of organization to do. And I can't wait to get that done. Which leads me to the next goal of 2023, and that is an improved focus on social media, posting content, just social media in general. It is not a strong point of mine. It's not something I really enjoy all that much, and so I'm trying to get some help on that because one, they'll do better than I can do, but it would also take a lot off my plate because I just don't have the time to keep doing it all the time. So if I can work on the product build outs and collections and development, that will make social media a lot easier because then it will be easier to make focused content. And that's kind of the problem is like, if it's changing all the time, well, that makes it difficult. And it's just impossible right now with the amount of things I've got on my plate besides that. Now, specifically when I'm talking about social media, I would say mostly probably Facebook and TikTok potentially, if I can think of a way to leverage it the best. Only because Instagram just, it seems like every year the power of Instagram is going down. I just don't see it. There's a lot of people that have a good following, but from everything that I hear and everyone I talk to, it just doesn't lead to a lot. You know, it just doesn't lead to a lot of conversions. And I'm still going to use the platform, of course, but why not expand onto some of these other areas a little bit more that tend to have a better rate of conversion and better engagement? Facebook isn't new. Facebook's been around forever. And then TikTok being the newest of them, I'm not a fan of TikTok. Like, I don't really like it, but for certain industries and certain types of content, it can be really powerful, obviously. So I don't have time to do that. I just really don't. So I need to solicit some help on that. All right, so number 4 on my list is to finish the candle making resource website that I've been working on for quite some time. And this is a website that I'm making for other candle makers. So it's supposed to be a resource site, sort of like the written version of my YouTube channel. It allows it to be a little bit more organized. I can really build it out to, I think, be really, really helpful for other makers. And then, of course, I can still link to certain videos if it applies, but it'll be kind of a one-stop shop all for candle makers is the goal. Not necessarily for purchasing supplies, but like resource learning content. I will obviously link some things that I think are valuable and helpful as well. The good news is that the core build out is done. So I have the website bones complete. Now I just got to start actually filling in the content and putting the rest of it together. So that is something I really hope to have done in Q1. And then once it's done, I will just continue to add to it and build upon it. But I'd rather just go ahead and get it out, at least what's ready. So hopefully be looking forward to that in Q1. If not, it'll be Q2 for 2023. Okay, so earlier I talked about this mess of shipping boxes. And you can see even more over there. And I said we'd get back to that. Well, the next thing on my list that I want to work on for 2023 is to simplify shipping. Now, it is fine for me because when I ship the products, I've got a lot of experience shipping my own products and all the different kinds of products that I have a pretty good idea of what boxes work best for different size orders. And if someone buys a random assortment of a lot of different things, I can figure it out pretty quickly. But everyone's always asking me why I don't have more help with shipping products. Well, that's why. It's right now it's, I don't want to say complicated, but it's not a simple process where I can just kind of show someone once and then they can just take it from there. So I need to simplify that. And the best way to simplify that is to simplify the amount of box options I have. And the best way to simplify the amount of box options is to simplify the products. So once I've kind of fine-tuned products and I have dimensional weight set up for all of them, and if better yet, if I could have product boxes for all the products, then shipping becomes more of a breeze. And then I can literally have kind of a cheat sheet for, these products use these boxes and so on, and it would be a lot easier to transfer that knowledge and train someone pretty quickly. Now behind me is one of the packing tables I have, and you can see it's just a disaster right now, right? Because like I said earlier in this video, currently moving stuff around. And this thing can be fully built out. It actually has, I haven't put it on yet, but it's got a back rail as well, storage built onto it. It's got a bunch of cool gadgets and tools. You can check it on the Uline. I've talked about it and showed it before. Once this is done, this is really gonna help me as well. Because right now it's just a mess and I'm kind of just ad hocing everything I do. Long story short, I need to finish the entire shipping area because right now it's not really a designated shipping area, especially now that I've moved it. But I've also got a pack and peanut dispenser that hangs from the rafters. Still don't have that up either. Like I said, I haven't really done anything as far as build out in this building. So right now I just dump the peanuts in a big box and I just scoop them out as needed, and that's just, it works, right? But when you start doing a ton of orders like all the time, it just becomes a little slower and all that time really adds up. And when you're super busy already, it just makes it worse. So to wrap up that thought, I need to simplify shipping and then finish building out the shipping area and process just to make my life easier. All right, next goal for 2023 is to expand wholesale and private label, white label accounts as well. Now, this was something I did do quite a bit of in 2023, and it went really, really well. And with the new spaces that I have and the new volume that I can do, that adds even more opportunity for me to take on more of those type of accounts. I'm really looking forward to that, especially with my new Cougar pumper machine. I can really just do a lot more than I could a year ago. And so I would like to continue to expand in that space. They can be challenging, and if you don't have a good relationship with whoever your wholesale or private label account is, they can be really stressful. And so a lot of times it ends up not being worth it. You've got to make sure that whatever job you take on is fair to you and it's worth it to you, not just from a time perspective, but also a profit perspective. If you're working with someone that's going to pinch your pennies and numbers so tight that it makes it just no margin for error for you, then you're risking a lot. Because as soon as a price goes up on a wax or an oil, which how many times did I do that in the last 2 years, right? So as soon as things change that are not in your favor, they can really hurt you. And you don't want to be doing a ton of work to break even or just have barely anything to show for it. So my advice is to be careful when you're doing wholesale and private label to make sure that you are finding a happy medium between you and the other account and the other business. I've been lucky enough to work with some great ones that understand that. And so we work together and find something that works for both of us. And when you're able to do that, I think that type of work can be really enjoyable, and it can be financially incentivizing because you're typically doing a lot more volume and scale, which is a lot more revenue, right? So your margins are lower, but of course you're doing a lot more revenue. So again, with the space that I've got now, I have no problem doing that. So I'm looking to expand that. I can really only take on so many private label and white label accounts before it becomes maybe too difficult to manage, but wholesale is much easier because wholesale is just your products going into retailer shelves. You're not changing anything about your products. They are just purchasing them from you in bulk for a smaller amount. Private label and white label is definitely more complicated because sometimes you're dealing with different label designs, or you are working on different rates, and you're not putting your own branding on it. So it's a whole different arrangement. So I don't want to take on as many of those necessarily as I would wholesale accounts. However, wholesale is usually a lot smaller in volume per order than private label or white label. Most of those private label accounts are like 500 pieces or more at a time. So totally worth it. And that's also one of the reasons I do so many road trips. So you guys see me post a lot about, my arm's getting tired. I'm like having to hold it up. You guys see me post a lot about these road trips that I do. Last year I did one to Orlando and back, one to New Orleans and back for the World Candle Congress, and then one to San Diego and back. This year I'm going to possibly Charleston, and then I'm also going to Nashville, Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Indianapolis, and then also going back to San Diego, up to San Francisco and back. And the reason I do all that is it's a great chance to interface, of course, with viewers on the channel and other people in the industry that I know and talk to kind of frequently, which is really fun, by the way. But also I get to meet my suppliers, manufacturers, distributors, do some collaborations. It's a great time. And in doing all of that is a great way to build up some new relationships and possibly get some new private label, white label accounts, new wholesale accounts. So I definitely want to continue to expand that part of the business. I also have a new project that I'm working on the back end that's a secret right now, so I can't really talk about it. But assuming that does happen and goes well, I'll report on it here in the video, do a whole story about it, a whole video about the whole thing. So definitely subscribe to the channel if you're not already, so you don't miss that. By the way, if you are already subscribed or you're going to subscribe now, click that bell as well. That turns on notifications so whenever I post a video. Otherwise, you might not know and just miss it. Now, speaking of wholesale and expanding that part of the business, one thing that I would recommend anyone else that's looking to do the same, even if it's on a smaller, local level, is take some time to learn about how to do wholesale. I've got one or two videos that talk about it a little bit, and I definitely plan to have some more that go into more detail. But I would really suggest investing a little bit of time into learning about how to run wholesale or how to expand your business into that. And one place that you can do that is actually on the sponsor of today's video, which is Skillshare. If you are not familiar with Skillshare, it is an online platform where you get basically access to unlimited classes. There's literally no ads, no restrictions. So once you join Skillshare, you can watch as much as you want. You can pause, start, stop anytime you want. They've got a plethora of classes to cover all sorts of topics: product photography, marketing, building a website, running a business, bookkeeping, accounting, and in this case, how to do wholesale. So I have a lot of experience with it, but things always change, and sometimes you get stale on your own knowledge, your own information. And sometimes it's just worth it to go back to the basics. So recently I started a new one called Wholesale for Your Handmade Business, Part 1, The Basics, by Casey Sibley. Now, she has multiple parts to this. I haven't completely finished it yet, but from what I've seen and the reviews and the number of students that have taken the class, I'm assuming it's pretty good information. So if you're interested into expanding into wholesale, or really anything else that you might need help with your business, like I talked about, website, bookkeeping, running your business, starting a business, the list goes on, then I would highly encourage you to check out Skillshare. The first 1,000 people to click on the link in the description below will get a free 1-month access to Skillshare and all the videos unlimited. So unlimited classes, great resource. I literally use it all the time. I'm constantly always looking up and watching new classes because it's a great platform just to keep learning new things. And you, as a business owner, know that we are CEOs, which is Chief Everything Officer. We have to know how to pretty much do everything in our business. We don't have to be experts on everything in our business, but we gotta at least know the basics of how to do all of it. Because there's gonna be times, especially at the beginning, where we're involved in all of the processes, at least until you delegate it out. So like I said, check out Skillshare if you're interested. The first 1,000 people to click it will get free 1-month access. All right, now, the last thing that I need to mention that is my number one biggest goal for 2023. And that is something all of you have been telling me for years now. And that is, I need more help. The past couple years have been absolutely crazy for me. Relocating a couple times, getting new buildings, taking on new accounts, all this traveling. Like, there's just been, starting this YouTube channel, right? This is new-ish still. All of these things just kind of roll up into one giant ball, and it's trying to push that giant ball uphill by yourself can be very difficult. So I have tried to justify and rationalize for as long as possible about why I don't have more help. Part of it has been like real reasons, legit reasons, like relocating makes it difficult to bring help. You kind of have to start over sometimes. Also, while I'm in new places, until things are set up and I have processes in place, it's hard to train someone. However, I'm at the point now where I have to stop rationalizing it. I have to stop justifying how busy I am all the time. I've got to get help. Everything else I've talked about on this list so far, whether that is new products, social media, help with shipping, help with wholesale accounts, help with marketing, help with the YouTube channel, even courses and classes. Every single thing that I've talked about today would be so much easier. And it's time to just realize that, accept it, and get the help I need. Especially once the retail gets done, because I have to have someone at the retail location all the time. Now, they will be able to multitask a little bit. It's not going to be some like super constantly busy retail location. You know, I'm not a Bath and Body Works, right? So it's not like it's going to be constant walk-in traffic. So the fact that they can be there to cover walk-ins and shopping, but also maybe do a few other things for me as well would be really, really nice to have. So I'll be looking for that very soon. Having someone at the warehouse all the time, because there's always things that need done. Wicks counted and wicks sorted, jars pre-wicked, jars labeled, products packaged. There's just so much stuff all the time that can be done. And it would save me a lot of time and money, honestly, in the long run, if I had someone in here to help. Not to mention, if they're here, getting deliveries is a lot easier because I'm not having to try to schedule them like to a specific time just so I can be here. So I know it sounds silly, but honestly, my number one goal, resolution for 2023 is to stop grinding myself down so much and to get the extra help. It would make a world of difference. Every single thing that I've talked about would get done faster and more efficiently once I get the help. So, number one goal, 2023, get help and delegate. Now, before I let you go, some of you might be wondering, what about financial goals? Now, I didn't put that on this list intentionally because one, I need to finish my accounting and taxes for this year to really have accurate idea to forecast for the next year. But not only that, that will depend so much on every type of business, right? But for me, my main primary goal financially every year is to build upon the previous year. And ideally, you want to build upon the previous year by hedging against inflation. So you want to at least increase your revenue, if not your revenue, at least your gross and net profits to be higher than the inflation rate, right? You want to try to stay ahead and at the bare minimum. So at the bare minimum, you want to at least not be stepping back every year. Now, of course, I would like to go more than that. You know, I would like to say I'd like to, increase my business by 50% next year, 30%, 20%, whatever it is. That's going to depend entirely on each person, each business, because every business is a little bit different and has different goals. And for like a smaller business, you might be mostly focused on net profit because it's just you running your business and you just want to know how much profit's left over after you've done all the work and made all your purchases. Whereas another business might care more about gross profit because they already have a ton of money going out the door for overhead and operations and paying staff and everything. So really the best way for them to get ahead is to increase their gross profit, because these other expenses have to happen. They have to pay their employees. They've got a lot of overhead. And the best hedge against that is to increase your revenue, right? So it's going to depend business to business and person to person. And for me, it's really difficult to speculate about next year. One, because some taxes aren't done yet, but also because last year was such a weird year for 2022. As I talked about in my my revenue breakdown video, I had my website down for the majority of the year for my own direct sales. So of course that's going to be higher this year, right? But other things might go down and other things might go up. It's really going to be hard to forecast from 2022 to 2023. And so my number one financial goal for 2023 is just to get some consistency and stability so that going forward, I can use this year as a building block, as a foundation, as a baseline, because my 2022 baseline was so wonky. It's just gonna be really, really hard to build off of that. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for sticking with me. And I appreciate all of you for being on this channel, for supporting the channel, supporting the business. You guys are great. I hope you enjoy the content. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, give this video a like if you enjoy the content. And finally, don't forget to check out Skillshare in the description below. As a reminder, the first 1,000 people to click that link will get a free, unlimited 1-month access to Skillshare. All right, guys, see you all next time. Thanks.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac.